So we're already on day 6 of the Higher Self series. And for those of you that were able to watch yesterday's day 5, where the messages came in for the divine feminines, and I said I was going to check in around the divine masculine energies meeting in the heart space. Almost immediately after I completed that video, the masculine energies came in, and I could sense that it was where it's happening within our inner union energies as well as in the external collectives. So I just want to tell you real quick the messages that came through, because this is what I was shown. The divine masculine collective is ready to accept all of who they truly are. And what I was shown was like where the divine masculines have compartmentalized themselves in the past, but this was done so that they could stabilize and also start to really sort through and discern the truth for themselves. And it's coming into an energy where it feels like they're ready to open back up. And they showed like where the space, what was once comfortable, is now becoming confining. Okay. And I was kind of blown away by this because it came in so instantaneously with where that feminine energies like opened up to reconnecting with the masculines and the heart space. And this vision came in. And as I sat with it for myself, I was like, this makes so much sense because I could see where my own internal masculine energy had been learning to, or where I had compartmentalized things myself so that I could discern and understand the truth for myself. So the feminine energy is very like open, right? And flowing and unconfined. And the masculine energy is very stabilizing and wants to build containers. But when we work with the two, right, like the containers, the pockets, they can build and they can grow and they can expand. And there's enough space for the fluid feminine essences. So, what I'm sensing within this message is that we're getting to understand these energies for ourselves better. Yes, I talk about it in terms of masculine and feminine, but it getting down to those nitty-gritty details isn't always necessary for you to pick apart. It's more of like I talk about it in the context because it's how I understand things. But if you're having the experiences and you know that you're opening up and you know that you learned how to create containers for yourself and you're also learning how to flow, it doesn't matter if you're masculine or feminine, or if you're working in your masculine and feminine, or in all of those, because in truth, all of these essences are all of us and all of who we are, right? I just said the masculine said they're ready to embrace all of who they are. The feminines are embracing all of who they are. And we're coming into this time of realizing that, yes, each collective holds their own gifts and abilities, just as each individual holds their own gifts and abilities. And now we're coming into a collective space where we are more and more ready to start to interact. Some of you are already doing this. Some of you are preparing. Some of you, it's going to be coming into the near future or later down the road. All is perfect. But this is more about understanding that we've learned how to stabilize and we're learning how to also open back up in new ways. So the masculines, we're going to hold space to allow the masculines to come through in a new and deeper way today. And it's funny because yesterday I used what is normally my masculine deck for the feminine messages. If you didn't get to watch that, I'm going to drop it in the pinned comment. And today I'm being called to use my smaller light seer deck. And this has typically been used for the feminine energies. So those types of things are just that energetically alone is speaking to me of how much more of these inner and outer union energies are coming into physicality, right? Like we were working back in December on this channel very, very deeply on the inner union series. I see the comments that many of you are also just finding this channel and watching those videos and kind of establishing your connection here on the channel and the energies in that way. So just watch the videos that come to you as they do. Go into the playlists and pick one or watch them in order, whatever works for you. Yes, I number them in case you want to watch them that way, but it doesn't matter. I also know some of you are just watching the videos as they pop up in your feed, regardless of when they were recorded, and you're finding you're getting the perfect messages and support in that timing. Perfect. Do whatever works for you, loves. Just happy that you're here. All right. So let's see what else the masculines want to share, what they want to receive, all of those things. Let's see what comes through. Oh, wow. Okay, I'm gonna stop right there. So the King of Pentacles came out, and then the Queen of Pentacles came out like this. Well, at least on the table, they were facing each other. So this, if it doesn't signify what I was just talking about over these last couple of days, here you go. We're talking about embodiment of our higher self, embodiment of our inner union, embodiment of who we are into the physical world. The King and Queen of Pentacles are that physical material world embodiment. And of course, this is coming through to me as that inner union, but also the masculines acknowledging the outer union. And what was coming through yesterday for the feminines was like kind of like opening up to reestablishing connection in the physical world in a new way and actually dropping into new ways of being with the masculine collective. To me, this is signifying that both sides are ready. Both sides have their hard-won wisdom that they've just walked through, and each are ready to share in reciprocity and camaraderie in new ways. So you can think about this as your own internal energy, but then actually masculines allowing themselves to come forward, realizing the masculines in the past held back what's coming through and compartmentalized because they were trying to sort through things themselves, but also they didn't necessarily understand how the feminines did things. So they needed to go incorporate and absorb and understand how it fit into their world and into their own being. Okay. Because those energies were always in them. What they're showing me, it was always there, but they didn't ever access it. And the feminines like ignited it and woke it up. And so they went and opened their package and learned from it. And they've learned how to embody what they were ignited into by the feminine. And now they're ready to share and bring forward what they've learned. Or they're acknowledging that by coming into connection and conversation in the physical world is where they can actually unpack what they've learned at a deeper level by embodying it and taking action in the physical world. Same exact essence that the feminines are in. The feminines have been working, they've been gathering their information, they're ready to embody it in the physical world and ready to start opening up and sharing these things. What I'm sensing from both collectives right now is that there's this awareness, which goes along with the messages that I'm doing right now. They're like, open up, right? Even with my energy, just opening up and giving them space. They're embodying into these energies simultaneously of dropping into allowing themselves to come into this communication, to establish it, to open up to it, to start to receive the results into their own body and into their own life. And then there's going to be like this natural attraction. But what's happening and what I'm sensing as I'm saying this is it's dropping into the physical, opening up to it that will just allow that naturally realignment to happen. And the masculines are acknowledging that they have been calling this in as well, the same as the feminines. Okay. So, what else would the masculines like to share? It feels like they've been more open to their own inner union energies as well. Whether they would call it that or realize that in those exact terms is questionable. It doesn't matter because I know there's masculines here who do understand the lingo. But again, it doesn't even matter if that language is present. What matters is that they're coming into alignment with themselves, with all of their own aspects and energy. No matter what they call it or how they identify it, they're learning who they are and they're accepting who they are in new and deeper ways. That's what they're saying. When the communication comes back, or you're already experiencing it, but as this process happens, you're gonna give each other space to recalibrate, okay? You got what you've learned, and now you get the space to practice it, okay? Both sides are much more tempered, and you know this by feeling it within your own energy. If you're masculine, you're in this space because you're feeling how much more your feminine is tempered, and the feminines are in this space because they're equally feeling how much more their energy is tempered, okay? All right, what else do we got? Whoa, a little shaky. There is a deep stabilizing grounding of the aspects happening within the masculines. And they're showing me that as the feminines have released resistance in their field, it's allowed the masculines to also release resistance on their side. We have the Page of Wands and the Knight of Swords. So, or King of Swords. So, there is going to be forward movement. How this is coming through is that the masculines, hold on, they're showing me, but there's also something that wants to come through for them. Masculines, as you're taking this space for yourself to discern your own truth, you've also been igniting this inner power inside of you through this process. The masculines have actually been going through the process of discerning who they are, what they want, keeping the pieces that work, letting go of parts that don't. Hold on one second. And while they're releasing the parts that aren't fitting, they're remembering things that they left on the back burner. It, it was left on the back burner because they had to go through this discernment process. And now what was left on the back burner is now coming to the forefront of their awareness. And you're going to love how that message just came through because I forgot that I left stuff on the stove and I started to smell it. So I had to go turn that off. Okay. I had to remember what I left on the back burner. All right. So it's perfect though. It's like where we're creating this space internally for the power to build. A few months ago, there was messages coming through, well, through the process of where the restoration of the power is so important for both collectives. And this feels like through this very quiet, contemplative finding his inner truth process that the masculine is really learning to truly harness his true power, because the masculine collective in general has been seen as the collective in power in the physical world, but so much of it wasn't actually their true power. Much of their power was being siphoned into distractions and into areas where he was taught to do things that were supposed to be a certain way, but they weren't necessarily his true power or his true intention at a soul level. So he's had to take this space to really sort through that and discover what his true power is, what his true intention is. And I can sense that this is still in somewhat of a process, but the fact that we're talking about things coming into the physical world, it's feeling like that his next steps and stages of actually processing what it is that he wants and finding out what it is that he really wants are going to happen through conversations, connections, and experiences in the physical world. This is where the masculines are going to get their next steps and information and understanding of what they are supposed to do next. They need some more information in the external world to know how to make their moves, how to apply their new knowledge in where they want to focus it. Okay. Just like in a sense the feminines are doing. There's a little bit different of an approach, but that makes sense because we're allowing the collectives to recalibrate in all of the energies through this dance of this physical world experience is where the masculines can start to get more clarity and practice with what they've been learning and discovering about themselves. Because I feel like there's still some levels of what they're sorting through. They think that they know, but they still only really know their old experiences. So until they start to actually step forward in the physical world, giving it a chance and an opportunity to bloom, that's the only way they're actually going to find their next steps and levels of information. Okay. All right, so let's see what we have. We're gonna allow one more message to come through is what I'm feeling. Okay. So I have the 5 of Cups and the 3 of Cups. This feels past and present. It feels like the masculines were deep diving into the unknown and learning through physical world experiences, where many of the feminines may have been hermited, the masculines were hermiting in a different way. It feels like what I'm sensing is they were more available in the external world to other people, places, and things. But there was still a very deep internal process of transformation happening where many of the feminines went into a physical world hermit and were working in the energetics in a very community energetic way. The masculines were experiencing it in an opposite energy is what I'm being shown. So is there more that they want to show us with this or more for us to understand about this part of it? They were saying this was their hermit phase. During this learning process, even though they were externally taking actions and making moves and experiencing connections and relationships and material world experiences, they were sitting in these contemplative energies, learning and absorbing their higher self energy at the same time. It feels like they weren't necessarily ready to ground and open it up, but that this process was happening. And now you see how it's even almost in similar position. It's like, okay, now it's ready to come into the physical body and settle into this material world. But it was being worked on the entire time. And this is the part for both collectives to drop into is also the masculines have been a lot more ready than they realized. And if they been feeling frustrated, it's because their next steps and stages are to actually allow their higher self that they've been working on privately to come more forward into the physical body and into the physical world. And what I felt with that is like, as this embodiment process happens for the masculine, this is where the new is going to come in, and also some older things that are going to unravel that have been in the way of the masculine fully embodying into all of his power. Okay. So this feels like the process that they're about to experience. And this is where they may be coming forward for support, for advice, just for general um, connection with someone who's gone through this process. Okay. So this is why the feminines may be feeling called to support the masculine collective, allowing them the space and the grace to go through their process, while also being there as that higher supportive reciprocity, camaraderie energy. Okay. And remembering at the same time, feminines, the masculines also have messages and support that they are going to want to share with you if you are ready and open to receiving it in the highest ways. Okay. Very beautiful. Loving this. Feels very good. I do want to say, okay, how are the masculines? Because we said this was in the heart space. How are the masculines ready or wanting to meet in the heart space? I feel like it's still opening up for them. Like the membranes of this are still shifting as it's opening for the feminine side. So they're kind of like opening up to this idea and get like they're hearing the call of the opening. Okay, there we go. Netcaster preparations come to fruition. So what I'm getting is what's coming to me with this netcaster is like yesterday's jeweled web, like where the community, where the energy is ready to open up. The feminine's saying, okay, I'm ready for communication. I'm ready to open up. I feel tempered. I feel like I'm in this space and I'm ready to grow to my next levels, is essentially sending out the signal for the masculines to receive in their, web of energy to say, oh, okay, I got that signal. Now it's time for me to open up my um next levels of my communication and my network in my new earth grid and start to see how those things sync up. So each have been preparing in their own way. And as these higher signals are sent, each are receiving the messages and then preparing. And like how I was showing them over here, this energy being sent and received and received and sent is allowing that natural attraction process to come back into alignment and allowing the preparations to come into fruition in a manifested physical way. So the masculines are also, as the feminine opens her heart back up to meeting back up in a neutral, tempered way, allowing the exchange of the truth of where things are now, allowing the recalibration of the energies to take place. This is allowing the same thing for the masculines to happen on their end in a very divine way, divine timing, divine energy, divine attraction, natural nature, natural law of attraction coming into fruition. So, loves, your job is to be you, do you, drop into your authenticity, allow yourself to open up and receive, allow yourself to open up and give, allow yourself to be in those energies of reciprocity and camaraderie. All right, my loves. I think we're going to end up going more into those essences very soon, but we're going to let this simmer and we're going to see where the day 7 takes us tomorrow. All right, loves, you have a beautiful day.